Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister, said that the bigger the lie, the faster it will spread. Well, somebody has fabricated a monstrous big lie that Israel had something to do with Charlie Kirk's horrific murder. This is insane. It is false. It is outrageous. Charlie Kirk was a giant, a once-in-a-century talent who defended freedom, defended America, defended our common Judeo-Christian civilization. Charlie loved Israel. He loved the Jewish people. He told me so in a letter that he sent me just a few months ago. One of my greatest joys as a Christian, he said, is advocating for Israel and forming alliances with Jews to protect Judeo-Christian civilization. He encouraged me to make the case directly to the American people about how vital Israel is to U.S. national security. He told me, the Holy Land is so important to my life, it pains me to see support for Israel slip away. Now, if Charlie disagreed with a policy of mine or a decision here and there, not only did I not mind, I welcomed it. This is the essence of Charlie. This is the essence of a free country. It's exactly what Charlie stood for. And I knew that his suggestions always came from the heart, from his love for Israel and from his love for the Jewish people. A few weeks before his death, I spoke to Charlie. I invited him to visit Israel again. And sadly, that won't happen. Now some are peddling these disgusting rumors, perhaps out of obsession, perhaps with Qatari funding. What I do know is this: Charlie Kirk was a great man, and a great man deserves honor, not lies. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. May your memory be a blessing.
Israel's the size of New Jersey. When I took a helicopter ride from Jerusalem to the Gaza border, it's 45 minutes. Wow. 6 hours. They're live streaming the killing of Jews. Did somebody in the government say, stand down? That is a legitimate, non-conspiracy question. The whole country is the IDF.
Tyler Robinson.
Israel many times. The whole country is a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still have the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that's an IDF soldier, right? The whole country is surveilled. And so let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel was on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu is basically redefining the Israeli constitution. That's not an exaggeration, right? He said the judicial branch has too much power. There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu, where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead. I'm not willing to go so far to saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here, but I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand down order? Was there a stand down order? 6 hours? I don't believe it. Israel's the size of New Jersey. When I took a helicopter ride from Jerusalem to the Gaza border, it's 45 minutes. Wow. 6 hours. They're live streaming the killing of Jews. Did somebody in the government say, stand down? That is a legitimate, non-conspiracy question. The whole country is the IDF. The whole country is. Yeah. And you're trying to tell me that they're going to concerts and kibbutzes and schools and by reports, 6 hours. Let's say it's 3 hours.
That's suspect. What, Rob? It's also not like a right-wing reporting. This is from the New York Times. The long wait for help as massacre unfolds in Israel.
9
I can't
hours.
think of a more liberal news outlet than the New York Times.
And by the way, I'm actually very pro-Israel. So let me be very, so I'm not exactly.
I think we all are.
No, I just want to make sure my position is clear here. But so Patrick, there are other explanations. It's possible that the Netanyahu government was double-crossed by bad agents. Okay? That's dark, but it's not as dark as what we're talking about. Okay? Another aspect is that Netanyahu might have traitors in his government, like legitimate traitors that have infiltrated. I was texting with some senior people in the IDF, and they said, Charlie, can't say too much, but let's just say the same problem you have with the left in America we have here in Israel. So there's something to think about. Just something to think about, right? Is that maybe there's some people within those intel agencies that aren't as sympathetic. Or maybe, Patrick, maybe they might have gotten a tip, they might have gotten whispers, but no one thought it would be 1,200 Jews dead. That's a potential, right?
Charlie says that
Maybe they might have gotten a tip, They might have gotten whispers, but no one thought it would be 1,200 Jews dead. That's a potential, right?
Charlie says the whole country is a fortress. I've been to the Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old IDF soldier. The whole country is surveillanced. Israel on the brink of civil war. Was there a stand-down order? When he says this, absolute silence. It doesn't make sense, does it? For those who don't know what a stand-down order is, it's a temporary cease of all normal operational activities. Israel live streaming the killing of Jews. 45 minutes from Jerusalem to the Gaza border, 6 hours and nothing happened. Charlie then says, legitimate non-conspiracy question, followed by the whole country is the IDF. You're telling me some people wouldn't have been vexed hearing this? Absolutely.
Because here's the essence of it. The essence is this. This is the closest thing to the Holocaust that any of us have lived through. But the fact is now Bibi and the Israeli hard right government has a mandate. I gotta be careful the way I say this. They're gonna try to ethnically cleanse Gaza.
Yep.
I mean, I don't use that term lightly, okay? They're talking about basically removing 2.5 million people from there, okay? And honestly, they have a mandate to go seek justice and revenge. They do. This idea that they need to have a truce or a peace treaty, that's morally crap after you see women and children be burned alive and dragged to the streets. But there are some serious questions here, Patrick. And let me tell you, my pattern recognition over the last 5 years has become pretty sharp. COVID, Maui fires, Epstein. When I see a story and it doesn't click, our guts are usually right.
Yeah, this one's very weird.
Can I comment on the, when you use the term ethnic cleansing, that will, make the hairs on the back of your head.
Accusing
No,
them of that.
I'm just saying that term. I actually did some research specifically on that because that is a very slippery slope. And if you actually want to talk about what Jews and even Christians should be most fearful of, Muslims as well, is the concept of ethnic
cleansing.
cleansing.
I just want to be sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
I'm saying that's what they're going to be accused of.
Correct.
But if there are some people in public life in Israel that, Patrick, what did your pilot guy say? I want only Jews in Israel, right? Okay, that is a form of ethnically cleansing because 20% of Israel is Arab.
Correct.
20%.
And people don't know.
Closest thing to the Holocaust any of us have ever lived through, followed by their trying to ethnically cleanse Gaza. Wow, I've never heard Charlie say that before. I am telling you, Charlie never got taken out for views on anything except this. This would have seriously peeved some people off. The idea that they need to have a peace or truce treaty is morally crap after seeing women and children burned alive and dragged through the streets. Oof. I'm telling you, this was it. You can tell everyone on the podcast was very uncomfortable and being very careful with the words. The question is, why? It gets worse. Let's continue.
My plea to Israel is be precise, be focused in your retaliation. You have a moral right to go and seek the blood of the people that did this. What I think would be bad for Israel, and I have a heart for Israel. I can't tell you what it did. It made me a stronger Christian in a way I can't even tell you, right? Be able to see where our Lord rose from the dead. My heart for Israel is that they don't overreact. And Patrick, you hear what I'm saying here, right?
That's my concern because if they do, again, if they do overreact, I'm more coming from a place of thinking this was intentional. If they don't overreact, then this wasn't intentional. Meaning, if all of a sudden you see an all-out annihilation.
What do you mean by intentional? That they knew it was going to happen?
No, when you're asking about the stand down 6 hours and 3 hours, why did you? What
No,
are you getting? So we're on the same page.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah,
No,
all I'm saying
I just wanted to make sure I understood.
if there is a major attack, it was intentional. If there's a major attack. And by the way, the number in the last however many years, the biggest number they have is 2,000, right? The Palestinians that died. That's the biggest number they've had. And in Gaza, if you look at the Gaza Strip if you can pull up the map so you can kind of show Gaza Strip, the West Bank, and where Hezbollah is coming from Lebanon. Yeah, but in West Bank, it's a different story because in West Bank, at least 42% of Palestinians there support Hamas, but in Gaza, it's 58%.
And Hamas really isn't in those regions.
Yeah, it really is not in those regions. So this is Gaza Strip, all the way to the left.
Can I emphasize that?
Sure, go for
Look
it.
at the cameras, the radars. Patrick, not only did they go into but hear me out here. Not only did they go into Israel, they got out of Israel with hostages.
Yeah, 100 hostages.
So you would think, let me just hear me out. There's a penetration of your border wall, okay? That you guard on a holy day, the 50-year anniversary of the Yom Kippur War. And you would think, hey, they're going to come back. let's make sure that doesn't happen. Let's mobilize some forces. And it is not quite, but it is close to the North Korean demilitarizing.
What's weird about what you're saying that gets even more credibility is you're a pro-Israel guy.
No, that I want to be very clear.
No,
yeah.
fully, I know that. So I want to make sure the audience knows this. So for you to question that and for me to question, I'm like sitting here saying, how did you not know this was taking place?
Not only did they get into Israel, they got out with hostages. Man, that's crazy. I don't see any other topic Charlie could have spoken about that could have ended his life except Israel-Palestine situation. From all my previous videos on Charlie, I've condemned everything he has said and still do. But this video, and I'm sure there's probably more out there, I very much agree with. The truth is, coming from someone like me or you isn't a big thing. When it comes from someone like Charlie, it becomes huge. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Support me by liking